You know the official story, a fallen dictator, a swift trial, execution by firing squad. But the real details of Nicolae Ceaușescu's death in December of 1989 are far grimmer than any official account ever let on. 3 days of terror, soldiers who refused to fire, a marriage that ended in blood in the courtyard of a military academy, 120 minutes that changed Romania forever. What really happened in those final moments? Why did the military lie about the details? And why, even today, 35 years later, does no one want to talk about what they saw? If you value documented, factual history like this, please subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, let us know in the comments which city you're listening from. This script is thoroughly researched and factual, drawing on sources from the Romanian National Archives and declassified military reports. Now, back to the story. December 1989. Bucharest had been burning for 5 days. Nicolae Ceaușescu had ruled Romania for 24 years with an iron fist, 68 years old, 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighing 140 pounds, a small man who controlled 23 million people. His palace had 1,100 rooms. His wife Elena wore $12,000 dresses while Romanians queued for bread. December 14th, a demonstration in Timișoara. 16 dead on the first day. December 17th, troops fired into the crowd. 93 bodies counted. December 20th, Bucharest erupted. Ceaușescu attempted one last speech. Central Palace, 12:15 p.m. 100,000 people in the square. He spoke for exactly 8 minutes before shouts of "Jos Tiranu" cut through the air. Down with the tyrant! The cameras captured everything, his face shifting from total control to pure panic. At 2:07 p.m., he and Elena fled by helicopter. Pilot, Major Vasile Malurianu. Destination, Snagov, 25 miles to the north. Enough fuel for 125 miles. They never reached their destination. The helicopter landed in Salonta at 2:57 p.m. Malurianu lied to them, said he needed to refuel. In reality, he refused to fly any further. Ceaușescu offered $1 million. Elena screamed for 20 minutes. Malurianu walked away. A black Dacia picked them up. Dr. Nicolae Deca drove. They didn't know he had already switched sides. 4:30 p.m. Târgoviște. Military base of the 93rd Mechanized Regiment. Commander, General Victor Stănculescu. Ceaușescu still thought he was safe, still thought his generals were loyal. Elena carried a purse with $800,000 worth of jewels. Nicolae had documents for bank accounts in Zurich, $4.2 billion, handwritten numbers, his handwriting still visible in the archives. December 21st, 6 a.m., cell number 7, 6 by 10 feet, a military cot, a bucket. Nicolae and Elena slept on separate mattresses. Elena hadn't spoken to him for 6 hours. She blamed him for their downfall. He blamed her for Timișoara. 29 years of marriage ending in whispered accusations. 8 a.m., black coffee and dry bread. Elena refused to eat. Nicolae ate everything in 4 minutes. 9:15 a.m., General Gicapopa entered the cell. He read the accusations: genocide, sabotage of the national economy, attempt to flee the country with state funds. Elena interrupted 7 times. I do not recognize this court. Nicolae remained silent until the end. Then, history will absolve me. 10 a.m., extraordinary military tribunal, a converted classroom in the local military academy, 5 judges, General Dan Voinea presiding, military prosecutor, Dan Iosif, defense attorney, Nicu Teodorescu, appointed 1 hour before. He had never met his clients before the trial. Proceedings were to last 3 hours at most. Orders from Bucharest, no appeal, no delay. The trial began at 10:58 a.m. Nicolae entered first, dark blue suit, red tie. Elena wore a black coat, low-heeled shoes. They sat side by side but did not look at each other. First question, do you recognize this court? Nicolae, no. Elena, never. They refused to answer 42 more questions. 12:15 p.m., evidence was read aloud. A list of executions since 1965. 600 people named, a list of deported families, 5,812. A list of dead political prisoners, 2,409 documented. Elena finally spoke. All lies. Nicolae added, we fed the people for 24 years. 12:45 p.m. The judges retired to deliberate. 14 minutes later, they returned. The verdict was read by General Voinea. Guilty of all listed crimes. Sentence, death by firing squad, to be executed immediately. Elena stood up and screamed, cannot kill us. We are your parents." Nicolae remained seated. He whispered something no recording ever captured. 1 p.m. The firing squad was summoned. 3 volunteer soldiers from the 93rd Regiment, Sergeant Dorn Kurlan, Corporal Jorgen Octavian, Private Ionel Bojan, armed with Kalashnikov automatic rifles. Ammunition, hollow point bullets. A brick wall behind the school was chosen. Distance, 50 feet exactly. 1:15 p.m. Elena and Nicolae were led to the courtyard. Elena was bound, but Nicolae refused. He walked alone. Elena screamed, "I will not die with you." She tried to run. 2 guards held her. Nicolae looked at her and said, "Sing the Internationale." Their last words to each other after 29 years of marriage. 1:25 p.m., final positioning. Elena continued to struggle against her restraints. Nicolae stood erect, looking directly at the soldiers. Colonel Andrei Kamenici gave the orders. "Ready." 3 rifles raised. Elena screamed, "Down with traitors!" Nicolae, "Long live free Romania." 1:27 p.m. Fire. The first burst, 17 bullets. Nicolae fell immediately. 4 bullets to the chest, 2 to the head. Elena still moved. Sergeant Kurlan fired another 6 bullets. She stopped moving. Total execution time, 42 seconds. Blood formed a pool 6 feet by 5 feet. Colonel Kamenici checked pulses. 1:29 p.m. Both were declared dead. A military photographer took 16 photos. Only 3 would be released to the public. The other 13 showed too much blood, too much damage. The bodies were wrapped in green military blankets, carried by 6 soldiers to a Dacia truck. 2 p.m. National television broadcast interrupted. Anchor. Teodor Bratu announced, "The tyrant Nicolae Ceaușescu and his wife were executed today at 1:25 p.m. after a military trial." Images of the bodies were shown for exactly 38 seconds. Romania stopped functioning. Crowds in the streets sang and danced. But the real story continued in the classified archives. 3 soldiers from the squad initially refused to fire. Corporal Marian Ruiu said, "I cannot kill a woman." He was replaced. Private Vasile Ionescu vomited before the execution. Also replaced. General Stănculescu lied about only finding volunteers. An autopsy was performed at 4 p.m. by Dr. Durban Ioan. Nicolae, 17 bullet wounds, death by heart wound. Elena, 12 bullet wounds, death by cranial trauma. Dr. Ioan noted something never included in the official report. Elena had been beaten before the execution. Bruises on her face and arms from at least 2 hours before her death. Burial took place at 8 p.m. in total silence. Ghincia Cemetery, Bucharest, cheap wooden coffins, no ceremony. Only 6 people present, 2 gravediggers, 2 soldiers, a priest who refused to give his name, an unidentified officer. Graves marked only as numbers 304 and 305. No headstones for 9 years. In the days that followed, conflicting versions emerged. Television said it was a fair trial. The military said it was an emergency execution. American documents declassified in 2005 revealed that the CIA knew of the execution with 6 hours advance notice. Agent George Manol sent a telegram at 8 a.m. Operation Freedom proceeds as planned. 3 details were never officially explained. First, why were Elena and Nicolae kept separate the night before if they were co-defendants? Second, why do only 42 minutes of audio recording exist from a trial that supposedly lasted 2 hours? Third, why was General Stănculescu promoted 3 times in the 6 months that followed? Sergeant Kurlan, who fired the final shot into Elena, never spoke publicly about that day. He retired from the army in 1993 and moved to a small town in Moldova. In a 2010 interview, he only said, "I followed orders. I don't ask questions about orders." He died of a heart attack in 2018. His family burned all his military papers. Their personal belongings were never returned to their families. Elena carried a gold Rolex watch, estimated value $50,000. Nicolae had a Mont Blanc pen with engraved initials and a ring with a presidential crest. Everything disappeared into military archives. Elena's jewelry bag was inventoried, but never publicly cataloged. Television cameras arrived 40 minutes after the execution. Cameraman Ion Cristoiu filmed 12 minutes of footage in the courtyard. Only 90 seconds aired. The rest remained sealed in the Romanian television archives. Cristoiu said in a 2015 interview, "You don't want to see what really happened in that courtyard." The cell where they spent their last night was converted into a storage room in January of 1990. Walls were repainted 3 times. The floor was changed 2 times. In 2003, journalists found scratches on the wall where Elena had apparently written something. Forensic analysis revealed letters NUVOI, "I will not." Her last written words. Dr. Deca, who drove the escape car, received a new apartment in Bucharest and a promotion at the hospital. Pilot Malurianu was decorated for exceptional service to the nation. General Stănculescu became Minister of Defense. All other participants received special pensions and state-protected residences. December 22nd, 2009, the 20th anniversary. Investigative journalist Cornel Nistorescu published never-before-revealed details. Elena had tried to negotiate until the final minute. She offered the location of secret bank accounts in exchange for exile. She offered names of other communist leaders in exchange for life imprisonment. Nicolae remained silent during all negotiation attempts. The last attempt at clemency came from the Vatican. Pope John Paul II sent a telegram at 12:40 p.m. asking to postpone the execution. It arrived at 2:15 p.m., 48 minutes too late. General Voinea kept the telegram in his personal file for 15 years before revealing its existence. The execution site remained unchanged for 10 years. The bullet-marked wall remained exposed until 2000. Military academy students frequently visited the spot during recess. In 1997, a small plaque was placed. Here, justice was done. It was removed in 2003 after protests from human rights organizations. The complete footage of the execution exists. 3 cameras captured different angles. Camera 1, frontal, showing faces during the final moments. Camera 2, lateral, showing the impact of the bullets. Camera 3, aerial, showing the fall of the bodies. A total of 43 minutes of film. Classification, top secret indefinitely. Private Ionel Bogin, a member of the firing squad, developed post-traumatic stress in 1992. He was hospitalized 3 times for panic attacks. In therapy, he revealed that Elena tried to bribe the soldiers until the final seconds. She offered diamonds hidden in her shoe. No soldier accepted. The last moments were audio recorded by a hidden device in Colonel Kamenetz's uniform. The 8-minute and 37-second recording includes final pleas, military orders, and the sounds of the execution. The full transcript remains classified. Only one phrase has been confirmed. Nicolae said, "Mulțumesc, thank you," seconds before the shots. 35 years later, military archives are beginning to open. Documents from 2024 reveal that the execution was planned since December 19th. A list of participants was prepared 2 days in advance. The trial was a charade. The verdict was already written before the defendants entered the room. The final truth lies in a document dated December 20th, Dausters, 11 p.m., found in General Stănculescu's archive in 2023. An order signed by the National Salvation Front. Ceaușescu must die before noon on December 22nd. No exceptions, no delays. History must not allow him to speak. The words that sealed a dictator's fate 8 hours before he knew he was going to die. What happened in the hours before their capture was carefully orchestrated. Major Malurianu, the helicopter pilot, received secret orders at 5 a.m. on December 20th. Colonel Ion Negru of the intelligence service instructed him, "Take them far from Bucharest, but do not let them escape." Malurianu had a family, a wife, and 2 small children. Negru made it clear that cooperation guaranteed family safety. The black Dacia that transported them was not a random vehicle. License plate number B12GHJ belonged to the Special Fleet of the Ministry of Interior. Dr. Deca had been recruited 3 months prior. Payment, 50,000 Romanian lei and a promise of emigration to France. He never received the money. France denied his visa in March of 1990. During the 43-minute journey to Târgoviște, Elena made 7 attempts to bribe Dr. Deca. She offered a watch, jewels, Gauss, even a promise of appointment as health minister when they regained power. Nicolae remained in total silence, looking out the window. Deca later reported, "She wouldn't stop talking. He seemed to know it was over." The military base in Târgoviște was chosen for specific reasons. Distance from Bucharest, 42 miles, too far for supporters to arrive quickly, close enough to justify haste. The 93rd Regiment had a history of loyalty to the party, but Commander Stănculescu had already switched sides on December 19th. Soldiers didn't know they would be executioners until the morning of the 21st. The cell where they were held had been used for political prisoners since 1952, concrete walls 12 inches thick, a constant temperature of 46 degrees Fahrenheit, 85% humidity. Elena developed a dry cough within the first hour. Nicolae asked for an extra blanket 3 times, denied every time. The first night in the cell revealed a toxic marital dynamic. Elena blamed Nicolae for trusting the wrong generals and not listening to warnings about Timișoara. Nicolae called her an ambitious witch who destroyed our family. The argument lasted 2 hours and was partially recorded by a hidden microphone. The recording contains 47 minutes of mutual insults, 12 minutes of total silence. A preliminary interrogation took place at 6 p.m. on December 20th. Major Julian Vlad conducted a 3-hour session. Objective: to obtain a confession before the trial to expedite the process. Elena refused to speak, except to ask for cigarettes. She had smoked 2 packs a day for 20 years. The request was denied. Nicolae only answered questions about the location of state funds. The list of crimes prepared in advance included accusations never mentioned in the public trial. Orders for the assassination of Romanian dissidents in Paris, 13 documented cases between 1975 and 1983. The sale of Romanian babies for international adoption, 42,000 children between 1970 and 1989. Estimated profit, $120 million. Summary executions were documented in a special file of the Securitate State Department. 1,897 people executed without trial between 1965 and 1989. Names, dates, methods. Elena personally approved 623 executions. Her signature appears on death warrants filed in the red folder found in her office. The morning of the execution began with a desperate attempt at negotiation. At 7 a.m., Nicolae offered to reveal the location of hidden gold in exchange for exile in Libya. 47 gold bars, each weighing 26 pounds, buried in 3 different locations. General Stanculescu pretended to consider the offer for 1 hour before refusing. Elena tried a different strategy. At 8:15 a.m., she claimed to be pregnant. She requested a medical examination to confirm the pregnancy. Dr. Iowan was called, performed a 5-minute examination. Result: impossible. Elena had undergone a hysterectomy in 1982 after uterine cancer. She lied about her own medical condition until the final minutes. Preparations for the execution began at 9 a.m. The firing squad rehearsed positioning 4 times using paper targets. The distance was calculated to ensure instant death, but preserve faces for identification. Ammunition was tested on gelatin targets to confirm penetration. Each soldier received 12 bullets, 4 more than necessary. The last meal was offered at 10 a.m. Menu: chicken soup, white bread, water. Nicolae ate half the soup, ignored the bread. Elena completely refused to eat. Guards reported that she said, "I will not give them the satisfaction of dying on a full stomach." The comment was included in the official report, but censored in the public version. During the trial, a crucial detail was omitted from the recordings. Elena suffered a panic attack at 12:52 p.m. Severe hyperventilation, hands trembling uncontrollably. A military doctor was called, administered a mild sedative. The trial was paused for 8 minutes. When it resumed, Elena spoke more slowly and with a slurred voice. Witnesses to the trial included more people than officially reported. In addition to the 5 judges and lawyers, there were present 3 observer colonels, 2 military journalists, 1 official photographer, 1 camera operator, 1 stenographer ATU, and 2 armed guards. A total of 16 people, not 5 as reported in the media. The sentence was read in an abbreviated version. The full text included details about confiscation of assets, cancellation of citizenship, and prohibition of burial in a national cemetery. Elena interrupted the reading 7 times, screaming, "I do not recognize it." Nicolae remained motionless until he heard about the confiscation of assets. Then he murmured, "My grandchildren will suffer for this." The path to execution was documented yard by yard. Cell to courtyard, 223 feet. Walking time, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Elena stumbled 3 times due to the sedative. Nicolae helped her walk 2 times before a soldier intervened, a final demonstration of marital affection after 29 years together. The military academy courtyard had been used for executions during the Second World War. 43 Hungarian prisoners of war were shot there in October of 1944. The wall chosen for the execution was the same one used 35 years prior. Old bullet marks were still visible in the concrete. Final positioning revealed differences in personality. Nicolae positioned himself alone, erect, looking directly at the soldiers. Elena continued to struggle against the guards until the last second. She spat at the soldiers, kicked, and screamed obscenities. She had to be held by 2 men during the "ready" command. Later, ballistic analysis revealed the bullet pattern. Nicolae was hit by 17 projectiles in an area 12 by 16 inches, a tight grouping indicating precise aim. Elena was hit by 12 bullets in a larger area, 24 by 20 inches. The dispersion suggests that soldiers hesitated when shooting a woman, even Nicolae Ceaușescu. The sound of the shots was heard 1 mile away. A local farmer, Gheorghe Popescu, was working in the fields. He counted 23 distinct shots in an 8-second sequence. He paused his work, looked in the direction of the military base. He saw birds flying startled from nearby trees. The immediate reaction of the executing soldiers was vomiting. 3 of the 5 vomited within 2 minutes after the firing ceased. Sergeant Curlin, who delivered the coup de grace to Elena, fainted for 15 seconds. He was revived with cold water. Corporal Octavian cried uncontrollably for 10 minutes. Verification of death followed strict military protocol. Dr. Iowan checked pulses in both necks, heartbeats with a stethoscope, and pupillary reflex with a flashlight. Total verification time, 3 minutes and 40 seconds. He signed the death certificate at 1:32 p.m. Cause of death? Multiple bullet wounds, massive blood loss. The bodies were photographed from 12 different angles. Photos included close-ups of faces, bullet wounds, bound hands, and the final position of the bodies. Only 3 photos were released to the press. Another 9 remain in classified military archives. Military photographer Alexandru Stan kept the negatives for 20 years before destroying them. Cleanup of the execution site lasted 45 minutes. Blood was washed away with a pressure hose and industrial detergent. Bullets were collected. 15 found in the wall, 8 on the ground, 2 in the bodies. 3 bullets were never located. The wall was repainted the next day to cover impact marks. Transport of the bodies to Bucharest used an unmarked Dacia military ambulance. Driver, Corporal Marian Ionescu. Travel time, 1 hour and 37 minutes. During the journey, the ambulance was stopped 3 times by celebratory crowds. Ionescu lied, saying he was transporting soldiers wounded in combat. Preparation for burial was personally supervised by General Militaru. The bodies were washed, dressed in simple clothes, not the bloody execution attire. Nicolae wore a gray suit, Elena a simple black dress. Cheap pine coffins cost 80 lei each, the price of a modest dinner in Bucharest. Ghencia Cemetery was chosen because it accepted burials without ceremony. Director Vasile Rusu received a direct order from the ministry. Discreet burial, no public record, no visitors for 6 months. Graves were dug in a section designated for indigents. Depth, 6 feet, the legal minimum standard. The ceremony lasted exactly 12 minutes. Father Cristian Popescu read a standard Orthodox prayer, refusing to mention the names of the deceased. Coffins were lowered simultaneously at 8:15 p.m. Earth was thrown by 2 gravediggers in total silence. The only tear shed came from the guard soldier who had known Nicolae personally. In the Securitate archives, the final folder on the Ceaușescu family contains 230 pages. The last entry, dated December 22nd at 9 p.m. Operation completed. Threat neutralized. File permanently. Signature, Colonel Gheorghe Diaconescu, head of special operations. He died of a heart attack 3 months later. A secret CIA investigation revealed never-before-published details. Infiltrated agent Robert Hayes was in Bucharest during the execution. His January of 1990 report mentions, the execution was a demonstration of power, not justice. The new leaders wanted to show it was irreversible. The report was only declassified in 2019. The last secret is buried with them. In the early hours of a March morning in 2022, a team of forensic archaeologists exhumed the remains for definitive DNA analysis. They found more than bones. Buried with Nicolae, a wedding ring and a family photo from 1955. With Elena, an Orthodox rosary and a handwritten letter never opened. The letter remains sealed in the National Archives. No one knows what Elena wrote on her last night alive.